I listened to and read Donald Trump's hour-plus long interview with NBC's Meet the Press, so you didn't have to. I'm going to bring you my 6 takeaways. All right, let's go through them. Here we go. These are in the order that he mentioned them in the actual interview, not in order of importance. All right, some of these are serious. Some of these are a little less serious. All right, number 1, Donald Trump is all in on tariffs. This may be my favorite quote of the entire interview. I'm a big believer in tariffs. I think tariffs are the most beautiful word. Weird to describe it that way, but okay. I mean, I think, look, this is a recognition of something we know, which is that Donald Trump believes tariffs, which is essentially saying we are going to tax goods coming in, brought in from other countries. We're going to tax them to either penalize that country and make the goods cheaper, or we are going to build more in America and make people buy American because the other stuff will be too expensive. He believes this is absolutely a useful thing for the economy, a leverage point, a way to negotiate. Now, lots and lots of economists disagree. They see it as basically a national sales tax going to raise the cost of goods. We'll see. Right now, Trump has threatened, if you remember, Canada, Mexico, and China with tariffs. He's not president yet, so we don't know what's going to happen. But he is committed to it. That much is clear from the interview. Point number 2, Donald Trump is not going to replace Jerome Powell as the Federal Reserve Chairman. He essentially said, no, that's not something I'm going to do. Now, it's interesting because Jerome Powell actually believes that Donald Trump does not have the ability, that a president cannot replace a Fed chairman, and Powell's term does not end until May 2026. So it seems as though they've kind of reached a separate piece. Powell says he doesn't think Trump could do it. Trump says, I'm not going to do it, although that assumes he could. He goes on to say, I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to. What does it mean for the average person? It just means less uncertainty when it comes to the Federal Reserve, which sets interest rates and broadly sort of tries to move the economy, either heat it up or cool it down. Just one big job that Donald Trump is not going to try to force his person into, even though he is unhappy with Powell because Powell didn't lower interest rates fast enough during Trump's first term, according to Trump. So that's 2. 3, he is not giving up or running away from the rhetoric he used on the campaign, particularly as it regards immigration. So if you followed Donald Trump's campaign speeches at all, you heard a lot about how Venezuela's crime is down 75% because they sent all their criminals to America. Again, that's been fact-checked over and over again. Hold on. That's the president calling. Just kidding. That's been fact-checked over and over again, and it's not true. He said other countries are emptying out their mental institutions and sending them to America. Again, fact-checked over and over again, and not true. But he said those repeatedly in this interview with NBC, and he's going to keep saying them. He said 13,099 people who were murderers were released, illegal immigrants who were murderers released. Again, fact-checked and not true. But these are all talking points from the campaign trail, and these are things that he obviously, now that he's the president-elect, if you thought he was going to dial back that particular rhetoric, you thought wrong. He is not going to do that. Okay, number 4, he was asked about healthcare, and he said, Obamacare is lousy and no one likes it. Now, I will note that Obamacare was unpopular during its passage in the early days when it became a law. It is not unpopular now. Kaiser Family Foundation regularly does polling on it. It's like at 60% approval because people are used to it now, right? And you get used to it. It seems like it's working okay. You like the keeping your kids on the insurance until 26. You like that you can't be disqualified for pre-existing conditions. Easy for me to say. So it's popular. So the idea that it's not popular, that's just not true. But he said, again, like he did in the debate with Kamala Harris, we have concepts of a plan to replace Obamacare if they repeal it. Count me very skeptical that Donald Trump is going to focus on repealing and replacing Obamacare in his second term. I just don't see it. Immigration, lowering prices, trade, foreign policy, I see all of those things taking precedence over him trying to repeal with very narrow majorities, Republican majorities in the House and Senate, repealing a popular law and replacing it with concepts of a plan. I just don't think it's going to happen. All right, number 5. Trump diagnosed how he won. In this interview, he said, I won because of groceries and the border. I actually think that's right. So the border, without question. I think even people who don't agree totally with some of the more draconian proposals for dealing with people who are here illegally felt like the situation at the border had gotten out of control and that Joe Biden wasn't doing anything, or Kamala Harris doing anything that they needed to address it. And I think that cut across party, suburban, rural, urban. I think it was sort of a broad issue. I think that's point one. Point two, he said groceries. I think that's true too. For all the talk that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did about the economy's doing better and things are looking up, and it wound up, I think, that people would go to the grocery store and they try to buy eggs and milk and, the basics for a week. And those things cost more money than they did 4 years ago. And I think that argument, are you better off 4 years ago as it related to grocery prices? The answer was no. And I think that had a huge amount to do with it. I always cite this stat. So voters were asked what's the most important issue that you voted on. And the largest number, I think it was like 31 or 32%, cited the economy broadly. Among that group, okay, that largest group who said the economy was most important, Donald Trump got 69% of the vote and Kamala Harris got 29% of the vote. So yeah, groceries prices. And that stood in for the economy more broadly. And that did matter. That and immigration. So I think that diagnosis of why he won, he's 100% right about. And I think, again, he's going to focus on immigration and lowering prices more than he's going to focus on, say, healthcare. Last one. He was asked, this is number 6. Trump was asked by the moderator of Meet the Press, Kristen Welker, about the 2020 election and said, now that you've won in 2024, can you concede that you lost the 2020 election? And he said, no, why would I do that? And she then went on to ask him, well, how did you win in 2024 if the Democrats were able to steal it, his words, in 2020? And he said it was, quote, his win was, quote, too big to rig. Now, that's not technically true. If you look historically speaking, his victory was among the more narrow, right? Both in terms of electoral college. It wasn't nothing. He won clearly and convincingly, but I'm talking about in the sweep of history, his victory in terms of the electoral college, 312 electoral votes, and the popular vote, which he got about 49.8%. Are not massive. It's not 57%, right? It's not 450 electoral votes. So too big to rig. I don't buy that, but I think it's evidence of the fact that Donald Trump is not going to ever give up the idea that he was cheated out of the 2020 election, despite the fact that there's no evidence to suggest there is, that he was. They lost every legal case but one in regards election fraud or election being stolen, but he's not going to give that up. And I think my broad take from the whole interview, if you need one big takeaway, so let's add this, a 7th takeaway, is this. The Donald Trump of 2020, the Donald Trump of 2016, and the Donald Trump of 2024 are very, very similar. He is going to govern the way he campaigned. He's going to talk about the border in terms that, frankly, are fact-free at times. He's going to talk about grocery prices. He's going to talk about the 2020 election and how he won. He is not a changed man. I don't think anyone who's been watching him for the last decade should think or could think that he would be, but he clearly is not. This Donald Trump in this Meet the Press interview was the Donald Trump of October 2024 and October 2020 and October 2016. And probably October 1980 for all that matter. That's who the guy is. All right, that's it for me today. Look, a couple things. One, we made it to 50,000. How awesome is that? 50,000 subscribers. It's so gratifying. So thank you for that. Number 2, remember, I'm doing more live streams. I'm doing 2 a week. So I'm going to do one tomorrow, Tuesday afternoon. And make sure you become a subscriber so that you get alerted to when that goes live. So subscribe if you haven't already. Number 2, like this video. Just go ahead and hit the like button. Number 3, comment on this video because, let's be honest, it's for the algorithm. And number 4, we got to keep growing. So 50,000 was our goal. We got to it. Now I want to keep going, right? Let's go to 60. If we can get to 60. Can we get to 70? Can we get to 80? Can we get to 90? Can we get to 100? That's my goal. Let's keep building. I'm making videos every day. So 4 videos at a minimum a week, as well as 2 live streams a week. So I am committed to this. Commit to me. Become a subscriber. Spread the word. Take care.